Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about some Scientology articles and dive into this. I'm going to stop doing trigger warnings at the beginning of all of my Scientology videos because if you're triggered by these things, you probably aren't watching these episodes anyway. And sorry, if you're triggered by these things, you're a special snowflake anyway. So, moving on from there. I'm going to start out on Mike Render's blog. I have the actual article pulled up and I have my notes off to the side. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing here in front of me. So this is called Scientology Expansion, the Reality. This was posted on mikerendersblog.org on April 14th, 2019. So we're going to get started into this today. So he talks about Scientology and their bold claims, such as massive expansion and fastest growing religion on earth. And they justify all this by saying that they are opening new churches at unprecedented rates. Well, let's look into what they're actually doing. All of this is a lie. A very clever lie, but a lie nonetheless. Yes, they do open new churches. The problem is, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's stop there. In the United States, Scientology has renovated and opened 30 new buildings in the past 15 years. But in that same 15-year period, only 2 new Scientology organizations were open. So yes, 30 buildings, but only 2 of those were new Scientology buildings. And those were the Harlem and Inglewood organizations. Also, in that same 15-year period, 4 Scientology churches were closed or were combined into other orgs. And those were Dallas, LA, well, he says 4, but this turns out to be 5. Dallas, LA, Vegas, Portland, and DC. So that's actually 5. So those numbers don't quite add up to fastest growing or expansion if you actually sit down and look at it. So here we go with a set of states that have nothing of Scientology in them in the 60 plus years of Scientology's existence. So no Scientology org or church or whatever. Nothing. Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Delaware, Indiana, Idaho, Iowa, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Now, if you're the fastest growing, fastest expanding church on earth, why are there so many states that don't even have an organization in them? So if you look at all the numbers and you look at everything, Scientology has netted a loss of 2 Scientology orgs or churches over the past 15 years in the United States. That does not equal their bold claims at all. Let's move on. In all the states listed that I just listed off, so all those states that do not have Scientology in them, they do have Churches of Latter-day Saints and Jehovah's Witnesses. And And those are actually smaller churches than Scientology. Matter of fact, when I was growing up, the street I was growing up on, one of my neighbors was a Jehovah's Witness. Now, they weren't the most active Jehovah's Witnesses. Matter of fact, the guy, I ended up dating him when we were older, and he never went, like, what they call in service, which is where they go knocking on doors and spreading their propaganda. But they didn't celebrate holidays, they didn't celebrate birthdays, they didn't do all of that stuff. But and that, we live in Arkansas. There is a Jehovah's Witness temple in the city I live in. It's a very small city, but there's no Scientology in the entire state. So, moving on from there. It says Scientology does have churches that are outnumbered 20-1 by new religions, and they're outnumbered by traditional religions 2,000-1, but they are the fastest growing and fastest expanding religion on earth. I don't think so. So the statistics show how minute Scientology truly is. Yeah, you think? The buildings and events are similar to child playing dress up. They're just a show. So Mike Rinder ends his blog by asking Scientology 2 questions. Why are there no new churches of Scientology? And why is every one of them empty? I add to those questions. So I ask, why are there no new churches of Scientology? I ask, why are you combining churches of Scientology? Why are so many states without churches of Scientology? And then, why are there so many empty churches of Scientology? Gives you something to think on when it comes to Scientology and their bold claims. So, I want to move on from that article on to one from Tony Ortega and the Underground Bunker. And this one is called L. Ron Hubbard defines religion for you skeptical non-Xenu believers. This should be interesting. This was posted by Tony Ortega on the Underground Bunker on April 14th, 2019. So these were both posted on the same day. That's the reason why I want to cover them together. So let's start off with, in 1968, in the Assistance Lecture, Hubbard essentially stated that there is no Christ. Scientologists believe that everyone in the fallen God... No. Scientologists believe that everyone is a fallen god, mighty Satan, who psychiatrists have pranked into forgetting who they truly are and their powers. Yeah, this might be the reason why they're having problems expanding. Just saying. That and, the whole cheating people out of their money and disconnecting and breaking up families, that thing. Scientologists worship their own potential selves, not God, but they hold Hubbard in a very high esteem, and some could say that, and some could see that as a God or deity worship, which I say that, and also David Miscavige kind of puts himself in that same sense, in a way. In 1976, Hubbard decided to take Scientology in a more churchy direction. He wrote an article called Religion, Influence in Society. And so that is what we're going to read right now and see what Hubbard had to say. So this is Religious Influence in Society by L. Ron Hubbard. When a culture has fallen totally away from spiritual pursuits into materialism, one must begin by demonstrating they are each a soul, not a material animal. From this realization of their own religious nature, individuals can again come to an awareness of God and become more themselves. So he kind of is going back to they are fallen gods. Medicine, psychiatry, and psychology solved the problem of human nature simply by dumping into the classification of material nature, body, brain force, as they politically insist on monopoly and use social and political propaganda to enforce their monopoly. They debar actual research for real answers to human nature. So just in that one paragraph, you see how much he hates psychiatry and psychology. Their failures are a test by lack of results in the field of human nature. They cannot change man, they can only degrade. While asserting dominance in the field of human nature, they cannot demonstrate results, and nowhere do they demonstrate the lack more than in their own persons. They have the highest suicide rate and prefer the use of force on others. Under their tutelage, the crime rate and antisocial forces have risen, but they are most condemned by their attacks on anyone who seeks answers and upon the civilizing influences of religion. Okay, I have to stop there because, oh my God. One, Scientology has a high suicide rate, especially when it comes to their whole disconnection policy, or when people are, LGBTQ plus community based. Also, there is evidence that people go through therapy and do come out better on the other side. Now, granted, in the early days, there were some problems with psychiatry, but there was also problems with medicine and other things. History is filled with problems. The legal system had problems in history. The political system had problems in history. Psychiatry had problems in history. The medical field had problems in history. Everything had problems in history. You learn from the problems and you fix it. So, yeah. Moving on. Of course, if one is going to find fault with something, it implies that he wishes to do something about it, and would if he could. If one does not like the crime, cruelty, injustice, and violence of society, he can do something about it. He can become a volunteer minister and help civilize it, bring it conscious and kindness and love and freedom from travail by insisting into it trust, decency, honesty, and tolerance. Briefly, a volunteer minister fulfills the definition of religion in this increasingly cynical and hopeless world. Let's look again at the definition of religion. In a few words, religion can be defined as belief in spiritual beings. More broadly, religion can be defined as a system of beliefs and practices by means of which a group of people struggles with the ultimate problems of human life. The quality of being religious implies two things. First, a belief that evil, pain, bewilderment, and injustice are fundamental facts of existence. Second, a set of practices and related sanctified beliefs that express a conviction that man can ultimately be saved from those facts. Thus, a volunteer minister is a person who helps his fellow man on a volunteer basis by restoring purposes, truth, and spiritual values to the lives of others. I don't know if this is him being like, him saying, like, calling people to be volunteer ministers, or what. A volunteer minister does not shut his eyes to the pain, evil, and injustice of existence. Rather, he is trained to handle these things and help others achieve relief from them and new personal strength as well. How does a volunteer minister accomplish these miracles? Basically, he uses the technology of Scientology to change conditions for the better, for himself, his family, his groups, friends, associates, and for mankind. A society to survive well needs at least as many volunteer ministers as it has policemen. A society gets what it concentrates upon. By concentrating on spiritual values instead of criminality, a new day may yet dawn for man. Okay. So this is him calling to action Scientologists to become volunteer ministers, and even says that they need as many volunteer ministers as they have policemen. Tell me how that worked out for you. Let me guess, it didn't work out so well for you. There are a lot of instances where L. Ron Hubbard he called to action so many things, just like his whole birthday wish for Saint Hill-sized orgs, or this volunteer minister, or whatever, and they've never reached that because people cannot stand the intolerant behavior of Scientology. Everybody tattles on everybody else. It's a gigantic kindergarten classroom full of tattletales. But you're sitting here talking about helping people. It's a very two-faced system. Anyway, those are the two articles I wanted to talk about today, and I'm going to leave those for you to stew over. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think my head is just about to explode from the just unbelievable and ridiculous amount of bullshit I just read. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, or if you want to look in the description box, you can find my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my email, and y'all can shoot me a line there. I also have some more stuff coming up for you guys. I am doing some more research. I'm also expanding my Scientology talks into other religions and going from there. Let me know what you think. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring the bell so that you're notified every single time I upload. I will see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.